Have you ever looked down at your hand and noticed a strange little curve, almost like a crescent moon, tucked into the lines of your palm? Have you felt lately like you're drifting away from the life you once built, like you're outgrowing it without knowing why? And deep down, has there been a quiet voice telling you this chapter of your life is over and something bigger is calling you forward? If you're a Virgo, these aren't random thoughts. They're part of a much deeper awakening that's already unfolding in your life. In the next few minutes, I want you to forget everything you thought you knew about your life path. Because if you're a Virgo and you're watching this, something bigger is already moving in your life. You didn't land on this video by chance. The timing, the questions in your heart, the restless feelings that keep you up at night, they're all part of a larger picture you're about to see more clearly. We're going to talk about something ancient and mystical, but also deeply personal, something that starts with a single mark, a crescent shape, gently carved into the palm of your hand. Or maybe it's not a mark you can see. Maybe it's a feeling, a knowing, a soft echo in your soul that keeps nudging you toward a different direction. Either way, this isn't superstition, it's soul science. And for Virgos, it's arriving right on time. This video will reveal why 2025 isn't just another year. For you, it may be the year your old life ends and your real one begins. Not in dramatic explosions, but in subtle, beautiful awakenings. We'll uncover 6 powerful transformations. Things that don't just change what you do, but who you are. You'll hear about the karmic loops you're finally ready to break, the spiritual gifts that have been sleeping inside you for decades, and the unexpected moments that will challenge you to step into something greater. We'll talk about the shift in your life purpose that may already be quietly taking root, and the one choice you'll be asked to make, one that could change your next 20 years. And don't worry, this won't be abstract or confusing. Everything I'm about to share will be grounded, practical, and real. This message is for the Virgo who feels like they're at a crossroads. You might be excelling at work, managing your family, handling everything on the outside. And yet, on the inside, there's a voice saying, there's more. There has to be more. You feel your routines becoming hollow. You sense your old motivations slipping away. You've tried to explain it, but the words don't land. The people around you might not get it, but your soul does. That's why you're here. Because the universe is confirming what you already feel. And it all starts with the crescent moon. This mysterious mark that has shown up in the palms of healers, guides, teachers, and old souls for centuries. If you have it, or feel it, or even just resonate with this message, stay with me. The next chapter of your life is unfolding. Let's step into it together. Imagine you're at work doing the same tasks you've done 100 times, but this time it feels different. It feels like you're performing, not living. Or you're having a conversation with someone and suddenly you're wondering why you've kept that relationship going for so long. These moments aren't accidents. They're signals. And if you look back, I bet you'll find signs that were there all along. Books you were drawn to, repeated numbers, dreams you couldn't explain, a feeling of being nudged by something unseen. It's not random. It's preparation. Something feels off lately, doesn't it? You're doing the same things you've always done, but they no longer bring the same sense of purpose. Places that used to feel comforting now feel cramped. People you've known for years suddenly feel distant, like they're no longer part of the chapter you're about to write. Virgo, this isn't coincidence. This is what a spiritual awakening looks like from the inside. It doesn't always arrive with fireworks or grand epiphanies. Most of the time, it shows up in whispers, in quiet moments when you realize, I've outgrown this. And it's not because you're ungrateful. It's because your soul is expanding. And with growth comes friction. As a Virgo, you've built your identity around being dependable, organized, in control. But deep inside, something is stirring that you can't manage with a spreadsheet. You crave silence more than stimulation. You want to be alone, not because you're sad, but because you're searching. You're peeling back layers of who the world told you to be so you can find who you truly are underneath. Maybe you've been waking up in the middle of the night, not from stress, but from a sense of urgency you can't explain. Maybe your dreams are more vivid. Maybe you're noticing synchronicities, numbers repeating, feathers in your path, strangers saying exactly what you needed to hear. These aren't hallucinations, they're confirmations. They're proof that your soul is becoming louder than your fear. And when this process begins, it can feel disorienting. You might question your sanity. You might want to go back to how things were, but you can't. Not because you failed, but because you've seen too much of what's possible now. You're being stretched, Virgo, and that stretch means you're making space for a higher version of you, one that lives from truth, not from expectation, one that trusts intuition as much as logic. And once this awakening begins, there's no returning. But the good news is, what lies ahead is more fulfilling than anything you're leaving behind. Now let's talk about what happens when the awakening leads you to your karmic patterns. Have you noticed that certain experiences keep repeating? You attract the same kind of person, you end up in the same kind of conflict, or no matter how hard you work, you always feel a little behind. That's not just bad luck, that's karma, and not the kind meant to punish, but the kind meant to teach. As a Virgo, you often take on roles of service. You fix things, you make people feel safe. But somewhere along the way, you learn to sacrifice your own needs for the comfort of others. That right there is the pattern, and it's exhausting. You don't just carry your own weight, you carry the unhealed stories of your parents, your grandparents, maybe even lifetimes before. But here's the turning point. You're not here to keep the cycle going. You're here to end it. In 2025, you'll be given opportunities, sometimes disguised as loss, conflict, or discomfort, that are actually doorways. Doorways to healing, doorways to liberation. You might feel pulled to forgive someone who never apologized. You might walk away from a role that made you feel needed but not seen. You might stop overgiving and start protecting your peace. These are acts of rebellion, but also of restoration. And yes, breaking the pattern might feel like breaking yourself at first, but soon you'll realize you're not breaking, you're breaking free. And when that release happens, something wild and beautiful fills the space you cleared. Joy, lightness, clarity. You'll start attracting people who respect your boundaries, opportunities that align with your worth, moments of stillness that nourish instead of numb. It's not magic, it's alignment, and you're finally ready to receive it. Imagine looking back a year from now, realizing that this was the moment it all changed, not because someone saved you, but because you chose to show up differently. You decided your energy was sacred. Your time was valuable. Your healing was non-negotiable. That decision, that shift, is what transforms karma into freedom. Think about the people who trigger you the most, the ones who make you feel small, unworthy, invisible. What if they were simply mirrors? Mirrors showing you where you're still waiting for someone else's approval instead of giving it to yourself. This is karma too, not punishment, but reflection. And when you choose to see it that way, you stop fighting the lesson and start learning from it. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift alone can collapse years of repeating pain into a single moment of clarity. Have you ever had a moment where you felt a pull towards something unfamiliar? Something that didn't quite make sense, but felt undeniably right? That's not a random impulse. That's your soul tapping you on the shoulder, gently urging you to remember who you really are. For Virgos, who often find comfort in routine and structure, this pull can be unsettling. But 2025 is not about staying safe. It's about waking up. Hidden within you are gifts that may have been present since childhood. Subtle abilities that were once dismissed as imagination or coincidence. Maybe you always sensed how people felt before they spoke. Maybe you could feel energy in rooms, Or you just had a way of knowing things without being told. As you step further into this awakening, these abilities won't just return, they'll sharpen. You'll find yourself drawn to subjects like energy healing, meditation, astrology, or sound therapy. You may start to notice patterns and synchronicities that speak directly to you. Numbers repeat, symbols show up, dreams feel more vivid, and messages come through moments of stillness. This is your intuition reactivating, your soul's memory stepping forward. It's not about learning something new, but about remembering what you've always known. And this remembrance doesn't come to disrupt your life, it comes to realign it, to show you where you've been compromising too much, dimming too often, and carrying roles that never truly belonged to you. As your gifts awaken, something else begins to stir, a shift in your life purpose. You begin to ask questions that can't be answered with logic alone. Why am I here? What am I really meant to do? And why does the life I worked so hard to build suddenly feel too small? These aren't signs of failure. They're signs of readiness. You're outgrowing your past, your false identities, and even your past ambitions. That job that once made you feel accomplished now feels hollow. That version of success you chased no longer excites you. You crave more depth, more truth, more meaning. And here's the thing. That craving is your map. It's pointing you toward the life your soul signed up for before you even arrived here. For some Virgos, this may mean walking away from a career that no longer resonates. For others, it's stepping into leadership roles, creative paths, or healing vocations you never considered. This transformation doesn't require a dramatic exit. Sometimes it starts with a whisper, an idea, a subtle shift in energy. One day you might feel called to start journaling again. Another day, you might feel a sudden urge to move to a different city or reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in years. These are not accidents. They're invitations. Invitations to stop living from the outside in and begin living from the inside out. Think about the jobs you've held that felt like they were draining you instead of inspiring you. The relationships where you had to shrink your truth to keep the peace. The hobbies you used to love but somehow abandoned because life got too noisy. These aren't dead ends, they're clues. Your soul has been leaving breadcrumbs this whole time. Through the books you were drawn to, the random subjects that sparked curiosity, the way you feel energized after helping others or being in nature. None of that is accidental. It's all pointing to your next chapter. One where purpose doesn't come from obligation, but from alignment. One where you finally get to show up whole, not half hidden behind expectations. Some of you may be thinking, but how do I know this is real? How do I trust that this is more than just wishful thinking? The answer is in how your body reacts when you imagine a different life. Does your heart beat faster? Does your chest expand? That's your truth speaking. That's how you know you're on the edge of something important. And if you're still not sure, just start small. Start by asking yourself what brings you peace. What energizes you? What feels natural even when it's hard? Purpose isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet knowing that grows stronger every time you honor it. So don't rush, but don't ignore it either. Your new life is waiting. All it needs is a yes. Fan 8+9, Tong So 2, 763. And then it happens. Quietly, almost without warning. Someone shows up. Maybe it's a new friend, a mentor, or a complete stranger. Maybe it's a sentence you read in a book or a phrase you hear in a podcast. But it lands. It hits something deep inside you. You stop in your tracks and think, wait, was that meant for me? This is what many call the catalyst moment. It may not be flashy or dramatic, but it marks the turning point. You realize you can't go back to how things were. You can't unhear what you just heard. You can't unknow what your soul now recognizes. For Virgo, this moment might come after months of subtle nudges, feeling like your life is too small, too controlled, too quiet. And then one message changes everything. This is not a coincidence. It's an invitation. The universe is asking if you're ready to live more honestly, more intuitively, more courageously. After the catalyst comes the choice. This is where the universe stops nudging and waits for you to move. And it won't always look like a massive decision. It might be saying no to a job that pays well but drains your soul. It might be choosing to finally write the book you've been putting off. It might mean ending a friendship that no longer aligns with who you're becoming. These are not easy decisions, but they are defining ones. Because once you act from truth, the path clears. Life begins to rearrange around your authenticity. And yes, it's scary. You might feel alone at first. You might doubt yourself. But every Virgo knows, clarity doesn't come from more thinking. It comes from choosing. This choice is your vote for the life you actually want, not the one you've settled for. You're not here to repeat cycles. You're here to evolve beyond them. The crescent moon on your palm, whether literal or symbolic, is a reminder that you are not powerless, that your awareness, your timing, and your choices create ripples far beyond what you can see. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to say yes to the next step. So let this be the moment, the one where you stop waiting for a sign and become the sign. The one where you start aligning your daily choices with your deeper knowing. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to shrink. You've been preparing for this without realizing it. Every moment of discomfort, every flash of insight, every time you felt like there was more to life than what you were living, that was your soul speaking. And now, it's time to respond. Let's say you're offered a job opportunity that feels secure but makes your stomach twist. That's a clue. Or someone re-enters your life and suddenly you feel like you're shrinking again just to keep the peace. That's another clue. Your body is wise. It knows the truth before your mind can process it. And when you follow that wisdom, even when it's uncomfortable, you reclaim your power. You begin living on purpose, not by default. So don't rush the decision, but don't avoid it either. Trust that the discomfort is not a warning, but a doorway. And as you walk through it, you'll discover something beautiful. Clarity lives on the other side of courage. So if this video has stirred something in you, don't ignore it. Acknowledge it. Reflect on it. Write down what you felt. And if you're ready, declare it. Write in the comments, "I accept the awakening of my soul." Not because you need to prove anything to anyone, but because you're finally ready to claim it for yourself. And if this message resonated with you, then what comes next is even more important. Because Virgo, you're not just awakening, you're stepping into your role as the guardian of divine order. In the next video, we'll explore what that really means and why your timing, your energy, and your clarity are exactly what this world needs right now. You might be surprised by how fast things start shifting once you say yes. You'll notice synchronicities increasing, messages in songs, numbers, dreams, and chance meetings that feel too precise to be random. People might fall away from your life, and while that can feel like loss, it's actually making space for something more aligned. New doors will open, but only when you show up as your true self. So start now, speak your truth, make the change, be the change.